Okay, so good evening once again. This is day 4 of our meeting, and the last time when we met, we did talk about quite few things, and we even tried installing code blocks or a recommended ID that will allow us write our computer program. But then we got to a point where some few anomalies setting, and we had to end the meeting and then continue whenever necessary. And today happens to be another day that is okay for us to meet. And so, therefore, we are going to continue and then build on the knowledge we've already established. And so, therefore, I would want to ask how many of us have been able to install the text editor or the IDE I recommended, that is code blocks? How many of us have been able to install it? If you have been able to do that, you just give a thumbs up, okay? All right. Okay, Hamon, I can see you too. Abner Michael too, I can see you. So the rest of us, what happened? We were not able to install it, or we had no idea about what was going on.
Say,
Yeah.
uh, but uh, but my PC is not working right now. But I'm just solving it. So in case I finish with the way, I'll just install it.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine, Emmanuel.
Okay, thanks.
I'm just not just joining for the first time, please. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Um, I actually have a channel that I upload all the sessions we've been having. So do well to maybe how do I even get to? Are you part of the group? The introduction to computer programming. Are you part of the group?
Please, are you talking to me?
That is,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
talking to
yes,
Raymond.
please, I'm part. I'm part, please.
You're part, but you've not been joining.
Yes, please. This is actually my first time.
All right. So
But like I subscribe to the YouTube channels.
okay. So now when you go
So,
there, you can chance upon the ones you've already talked about, the sessions you've heard already. You can revisit them at your own time, and then at least you'll be good to go.
oh, okay, sure.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah. So this is actually day 4 of our meeting, and we are going to continue. So um, I would love to go back and try to install the code blocks that did not work for us the last time. And then when we are done, or when I'm done, we move on to look at what we call syntax, and then we can gradually build on whatever we are going to establish. So let me present my entire screen for you to have a screen. All right, so I've actually downloaded the code blocks IDE. So I'm going to go to my programs. It is seated right here. The original file has been posted on your group page. I mean, on a page. So make sure if you are not having the right file, get it and then install it. The other time, the reason why we hit a stoppage was that we didn't download the right file, and so therefore, when we tried running the program or compiling the application, we were not able to do that. So I've been able to figure it out and then chance upon the original or the recommended file that we are supposed to install. So make sure you follow up and then get the right thing. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the installation process once again. So this is the setup file I have here. I'm going to try installing it. And then just move on to select next. Then in no time, I'm hoping that we'll be able to have something that is working for us to start working. I believe you can see my screen and what is going on.
Yeah, installation.
Yes. Good. All right. So I think the installation is virtually true, and it's asking me if I want to run code blocks now. Yes, I want to do just that. Click on next again. So and then finish finally. And then yes, we have code blocks installed, and it's trying to launch it for us. Okay. You don't have to really do anything here. Just click on OK, and then you'll be brought to the startup page here. So one thing that you have to notice, you read instructions whilst you are on this particular journey. Reading instructions are actually something that is supposed to be part of you, so take note of that. This window here is asking us that if you want to associate, you want to set it as default for any C or C++ source files. Yes, we want to do that. And then I want to associate it with any C++ or C file types, and then I'll just click on OK. You can select or leave everything to the default and then hit OK. That's fine, but read the instructions and then select whichever option that works fine or that is best for you. All right, so I'll click on OK, and this is our interface. Okay, now the last time I told you guys that the interface here is just like any environment. You would have to maneuver your way around, or let's say really introduce yourself to the environment in such a way that you know where the commands are and then what to do at what point in time. If you want to build your program, you know which command to select, where to go to select that command. If you want to create a new project, how to do that. We are not going to spend all the time trying to explore those things. Kindly do that on your own, and I believe it will really equip you with the necessary knowledge that you need to have. All right, so as usual, we are going to create a new project to give us a ground to be able to start doing something. In order to be able to do that, you can use the file option here. Click on file and then choose a new option and then say you want to create what, a new project. Select it, and then it's going to populate this window for you to what? Select whichever projects you want to create. Or just on the startup page here, there is what? An option to create new project. You can select that, and then you still be brought to what? This section here. When you are here, you make sure you select console application. Console application, that is what we are interested in. You select that, you click on go. Now click on next, you select C++, and then you click on next. Now what do you have to do? You have to next specify the project title, the project you are creating. If you are creating an ATM software, ATM, yes, automated teller machine software, you would have to name it as such. If you are creating a school management system, you would have to name it as such. Whatever project you are creating, give it an appropriate word name. Now I'm going to assume that you are creating our first C++ word project, so I'm just going to name it first project, and then I would have to browse and select which part I want to save the project. So I'm going to do that. Go to document folder on my machine, and I'll create a new folder, and then I'll name that folder C++ programs. C++ programs, like so. And then I'll select that folder, select it, and now you could see that folder to create a project, and then the resulting file name are all pointing to that folder, just like that. And what you do next is just click on the next button here, and then make sure all these things are selected. Don't do anything to it, and just hit on finish. Now you look at your left pane here, you could see that there is a project tree structure, and then there is an instruction called workspace. Under the workspace, you have your first project listed here. Now this first project, when you expand it, you could see that in the sources folder there is a file called main.cpp. Now when you double click on that, or when you right click and say maybe open, you are going to see this word, step-by-step instructions in there. Let me try to increase the font size so that you see properly what is going on. I believe you can see. Hello, can we see?
Yes, we can.
All right, good.
Yeah, Star Ernest.
Okay, good. So the last time, this is where we got to.
Please excuse me.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is where my question comes.
Okay.
This is the very first set of instruction in C++, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you are writing any code in C++, this is the very first instruction.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So whenever you create a C++ project, this is what you are going to be This is what you are going to see. Now, the last time I tried explaining this set of instructions here, and I will take this opportunity to revisit it for those who were not able to join, and so that you benefit from it like that. So you could see that this set of instructions are actually numbered from 1 to 10. You can actually have more than necessary lines here, but this is just to tell you that as it stands now, you have 10 lines of instructions written, and the cursor is blinking at the 10th line for you to continue typing whatever instructions you need to give to the system. So technically we have 9 instructions. There are white spaces in here. For instance, the 2, the 4 are having nothing on those lines, but then we are trying to introduce what we call how do you call it, should I say clarity? Yes, we are trying to introduce clarity in our code. We don't want our code to be clustered like so. They should just be closer to each other. It will make it, I mean, reading it become a bit difficult. So when you introduce white spaces in your code, at least it makes it more readable and more pleasing to the eye. The more reason why you are seeing what some of these white spaces. All right. Now there is one line at the very first. I mean, one instruction at the very first line saying hashtag include IOStream. Basically, this is a header file. We call it a header file. What is it doing? It is allowing you to include a model or a functionality that is built into the program or C++ to allow you to do what we call input and output. So talking about output, be able to display something to the console for the user to see is the output aspect. And then for you to be able to receive user input is the input aspect. So this hashtag include less than IOStream greater than is basically telling the program that go into the system or the C++ project. There are some models or header files there. Make sure you include it. And that is what the IOStream. It contains the input and output functionality for our program or project. You can create your own header files and then include them in whatever file you want. It might sound a bit how do you call it, abstract now, but then I believe as and when we progress it will all make sense. So that is that. There is also another line called using namespace std. The std means standard. Now this namespace here is just trying to tell the system that there could be instances where we include other files in this particular main file or any other file that would have to compel us to include other files. What may happen is in our projects, in our programs, we are going to be using what we call user-defined variables. And these user-defined variables would have similar names. Or when you have file A and then you have another file called file B, you might define some variables in file A with the same name, and then you come back to file B and then do similar things over there. So when you try to bring those two files together, it is going to cause a problem or an issue. So when there is a namespace, when you include a namespace instruction, it is going to be able to tell your system that make sure you try to figure out, okay, when you pick this file, the namings or the user defined variables that you have in there are actually scoped to that particular file. When I say scope, they are solely for that file. And then when you come to file B2, all the instructions you've written, they might be having some similarities or some same names in the file B, but make sure that you regard it as solely belonging to what? File B, so that it wouldn't cause what we call collision in your project. The essence or the reason why we have this using namespace here. All right. Now moving on to the next part, we have ends, and then we have main, and then we have open brackets and then close brackets. This is just, should I say, a method? Okay, we've not introduced classes and objects here, so I can say that this is a main function. This is a main function, and in every C++ program, execution starts or your program starts running from the main function here. And this main function is of the data type integer. Integer, whenever you say int, it means what? Integer. We are going to delve much deeper into concept of what data types, and then you are going to realize what integer really means. But if you have a foreknowledge already, that is a plus for you. All right. Now, be very particular about certain things. You see, we have just a normal writing here, main, and then one brackets open and bracket close. Whenever you see something like this, it is either telling you that this is a function, a method, a function, or a method, basically. All right. Now there is an opening curly braces or curly brackets, and then a closing one. In that, we have some few instructions also what going on. Now, let me go ahead and run this program. We see the output, and then I'll come back and explain this part and then this part here. So when we are done with that, we can start introducing our own stuffs. All right, so in order to run this project here, I'm just going to go to the debug session here, and there is one command called build and run. Build and run. That is what I'm going to select, and then you could see that our project is building, and then it has actually built successfully, and then we are seeing something in a console like that. I want to increase the font size of this. Can you see anyway? Can you see?
Please increase it.
Should I increase it? I'm trying to do that. Property. Font size. So less, eh? About. And I believe this one you can see.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So you see that there is some few instructions on the console like that. Hello world, and then a process returns 0, and then it's asking you to press any key to continue. So when I should press any key on the keyboard, for instance, the backspace, it actually exits the console. So the black screen you just saw is what we call the console. What we call the console. All right. Now, this is what got printed onto the console. Hello world. Hello world. Now, in order for you to get that simple message displayed, you have to do this. Do exactly what you are seeing here before you can get that printed to the console. So let's get to understand what is going on. There is one keyword called cout. Some people pronounce it to be cout, but then it is best to pronounce it to be cout, meaning console out, console out, console out. And then there is this two less than. It means insertion point. It means insertion point. Now, in between these two less than, this is where we insert whatever we want to display to the console. Whatever we want to get it displayed in the console, we fix them in between these two less than, like that. And that the more reason why we are saying that this is our called what? Insertion point. Now the cout is a functionality that tells the system that okay, you want to display something to the console. And then whenever you are able to fix whatever you want to fix in between the insertion point, you have to end with a statement called end L. And this means that you are trying to tell that okay, this is the end of this particular expression or statement. So when you start from here, you are going to end with this keyword and then a semicolon, meaning that you are terminating this instruction. You are terminating this instruction with the help of what? This semicolon. It tells the computer or the program that this is where you are ending this particular instruction. And then the return 0 is basically going to say, okay, when you return 0, it means the program runs successfully without any error. Now, I wouldn't want to introduce certain technical terms yet, but whenever I have a function that is having a data type, it must return a particular thing. It must return a value. And so therefore, we are seeing one return statement here. It is actually returning 0. So whenever it returns 0 like so, it means that whatever instructions you have in here executed successfully. We are going to see more about the return statement whilst we progress, but for now, just note that the return 0 here is basically going to execute, or when you see that printed in the console as to be 0, it means that your program runs successfully without any error. Okay, so that is that for those few instructions you are seeing on the screen. Any question up to this point?
Okay, Sir Ernest,
Yeah.
you are literally saying that the very few, the first one to the first three instructions,
Yeah.
they are reference, that you are referring to the computer that this should happen. So the very first one that includes IO stream, that's the very first one.
Yes.
That's a reference.
Yes.
Also, news space,
Namespace.
another
Namespace.
reference. Yeah, but I didn't get that one. That news space. What's it referencing?
Okay. You know that in a class of students, there could be instances where two students can have the same name. Do you believe that is possible? Someone's microphone is so loud
Hello.
here.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Yeah, please. I wanted to ask that after writing your code and you want to run, must you connect your laptop to an internet or before you can run your code?
No, 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 please. When you are using code blocks, you don't have to be faced with such challenges. You don't have to be connected to any internet before you can run it. You don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So going back to the first question, you said you didn't really get the namespace, and I'm trying to give you an example. When you give me your feedback, I would write on that to give you explanation to whatever that is going on. I asked you, do you think that in a classroom there can be two students bearing the same name?
No, please.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yes,
The
Yeah.
same name, like
yes, it's possible. Even
the
in our
same.
batch,
Is it the
Okay.
same full name?
Yeah.
It can be the same full name, but it can be
there
the
are two
same first
people
name.
bearing the same name, so it's possible.
Same
Okay.
full name.
The same full name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it is actually what? Possible. So what happened is, how do we get to differentiate those two students? How do we get to differentiate them? We can't use their name to be calling them, because when the two of them are present and we mention their name, the two would actually respond or would tend to the direction that they are being called. So that becomes an issue. So there should be a way we identify them. So we would have to perhaps give them IDs. So maybe you are number one and you are number two. So when we say maybe Andy Faisal number one, the person knows that, okay, you are referring to exactly me. In that instance, we are preventing what we call collision. Let me put it basically like that. We are trying to set a clear distinction between the two of them. Now, the classroom can be regarded as what? Our computer program right now. And then we have included these two students in a classroom. But then how do we get to differentiate student A from B in a program or in a classroom? We give them what? Some sort of what? IDs. But then in our computer programs, we can't be doing those hectic stuff like that. Basically, I told you that the first line you are seeing here is a header file. There are so many header files that are available. We can include them as and when we need them. We can also create our own header files and then include them in a project or the main file and then use it. So when you have a particular file that you want to bring into the main file, okay, there can be instances that, okay, already maybe in your main file here you have a variable called maybe int let's say number one. Okay, you can have a variable like so, and then the file that you are trying to include in this first one too, I mean the main file here, would also be having perhaps a variable named number one. When it happens like that, it is going to cause an error. When you make reference to number one, the system wouldn't know that, okay, I'm referring to this number one here or the one that is in the file that I've included. And so therefore, those who crafted the language or designed the language were so smart enough that, okay, there is a mechanism that when you include this namespace, it is going to be able to tell, okay, this number one you are referring to is actually the one seated right here, or the one that is coming from the file you just included in this main file here. Basically, that is what the namespace is all about.
That's nice. And one last question.
Okay.
Sir Ernest?
Yes, I'm listening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, please.
Okay, continue.
Uh, my question is about the colors.
The what?
The colors.
The colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is with the colors?
Okay, this is just color coding. They help to at least give you a sense of certain things that are going on. So when you look at the green color, well, it tries to place emphasis on the system's keywords. System
Okay.
keywords, yes. And then the blue one too. These are also keywords, all right. But you could see that this is a different category of keywords that are available in the C++ programming language. And then when you see the red ones too, these are also with special colors like that. So it is basically to help you differentiate some basic stuff like that.
So with this one, you're not the one changing the colors. They will bring the colors automatically, right?
Yes. You don't have to bother about colors here.
Okay.
If you don't want the color coding, you can set your ID to display everything to be maybe one color. You can do that. But I think the color coding can help a lot. Are we good?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So that is that. Now, I'm going to transition for us to start looking at some interesting concepts. So let me just delete all of this. But for the return 0, it will be there. Let me just push it down a bit. And then let's say this is what we have basically. Now, when I build and run this program, look at what happens. You see that nothing is displayed. It's just saying the process returns 0. Is it that return 0 that we talked about? It is right here. Now, at the top section, you could see that nothing is what printed to the console apart from these instructions. Okay, so it means that we don't have anything here to what display. So what are we going to look at? What are we going to look at from here? We are going to look at what we call syntax. Syntax. Now, what is a syntax? Anyone have an idea? Anyone have an idea? Let me go back to my screen and see. Anyone having any idea? Okay, Richard, you want to say something? I'm listening.
Yes, I think the syntax talks about, or is about, the, should I say, the programming grammar.
Okay.
Yeah, let me, for lack of better term or better words, let me just use the word grammar.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that one. Yeah, so let me just try on what my brother just submitted and we can build the knowledge more to that. So syntax is something that is very crucial. It is likened to English grammar. So if you know what the grammar rule says uh, in English language, you can quickly understand what we mean by syntax here. So the system is saying that when you say hashtag include here, and then you want to make use of what? The IO stream, make sure you bring what? A less than, then you bring what? IO stream, then you end it with what? A greater than. When you do this, the system will have no reason to complain that you are making any error. When it comes to the second line too, it's saying that for you to say you want to make use of what? A standard library, you have to proceed with what? Using and then space, then you come up with a namespace, and then also this namespace should be one word. It shouldn't be a separate word like so. When you do this, that is this is a what? This is an error you have actually introduced, or let's say technically you've introduced what we call a bug in your words in your code. So you make sure it is one word like so, and then another space here, and then you say std, and after that you bring a semicolon. You come to the next line too. It is saying that when you are trying to what? Define a method or a function that is going to return some value, you would have to what? Proceed with how do you call it? A data type. And then you specify the name of the function, then you open brackets, you close the brackets, then you open curly braces, then you close the curly braces. In the opening and closing curly braces, that is where you define your instructions. So you could see that it is following some sort of what? Step by step instruction. When you don't follow its syntax, you are going to introduce an error. So look at something. When I should delete one of the brackets here, you see it has not really complained, but let me try running this project and see what happens. Can you see that there is an error indicator just to line number 5? Can you see that, everybody?
Yeah.
Yes, it means that you are doing something wrong on that line. And what is it? We've actually deleted one bracket, which is what? The closing bracket. And then when we are able to correct that and then rerun the program, you see that we have no issue and our project run successfully. Okay, so that is syntax for you. That is syntax. Let me go back to the first line and then delete the greater than. The greater than at last end of what? The IO stream. Rerun the project and see what happens. Can you see that the error indicator has jumped to a line 1 and is telling us that there is some issue with line 1? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Good. So whenever you are writing your project and then you are seeing this red indicator somewhere, some way, somehow, it is basically trying to tell you that you are not doing something right. So don't be so frustrated and lost in the sense that you want to give up. No. Know that you are not doing something right. Find the right solution and then you'll be okay, and then you keep on going like that. So that is what syntax. It is basically the rules you have to follow when writing out instructions for the computer using the programming language. Syntax does not only apply to C++. When you go to Java, there is syntax. When you go to C#, there is syntax. For any other programming language out there that you would want to work with, you have to follow its syntax. You have to follow its grammar, else you are going to make errors. So that is that. All right, that is that. Now, what again are we supposed to know? Now, there are some instances that this using namespace standard is not going to be included. So let me go back and say cout, then less than, let me bring my hello world like so, and then say end L. So when I decide to delete the using namespace std, this line here, when I delete it and I run the program, look at what happens. Can you see that there's an error here on the cout line? Can you see it? There's an error. Can you see that?
Yes.
Good. So when I go back and then say, let me reintroduce the user namespace std and then rerun the project, you could see that now we are having a successful program and then we are getting hello world on the screen without any error. So you could see that this one here has a major role to play. So you don't have to tamper with it. Now, in some programming tutorials or lesson, you are not going to see this line here. So what you will see is that you have a keyword that is preceded with a CL. So ST, then colon, colon, and then the statement will come like so. Can you see that? Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, so when I go
Yeah.
and then run this one again, okay, so it is saying that what? Let me get rid of this end line. Don't really need it. Then rerun the program. And this time around too, it worked without what? Any error. It worked without any error. Now, when you omit the user namespace line, it means that for any other instruction that you would want to execute regarding input and output and any other instruction that has to do with the standard library, it means you have to proceed or proceed with what? This std keyword colon colon before what? Your next instructions follow like that. And that I think is going to be a bit of work for you. So the best thing is just make sure you have the user namespace std here, and then you wouldn't worry about what? Introducing this std before the printout statement or the cout statement. So when I go ahead and run this one again, we expect to get an output without any error. Up to this point, I believe we've made so much sense, and then we are really grasping what is going on.
Raymond, please turn off your microphone.
Richmond, please
Yes, sir.
off your microphone for us.
All right, so now let's try to look at one more thing here. This cout, I said it is used to what? Display or print a statement or anything to the console. Cout. So we normally pronounce it like so. Cout. This is the pronunciation. Cout, which technically means what? Console out. Console out. So the C here means console, and then the out. So actually, just display something. Basically, that is what this one here what means. This is what it means. You can actually make use of many cout statements in your program. You can have so many of them depending on whatever you are doing. You can print, okay, let's say I want to print Monday here, Monday. So let me just delete this ones. And what can I do basically? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then what? Friday. And then trust you me, when I run this project, all these ones are going to be printed in the console. So let me run it again. And can you see that? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes, you can see Monday printed, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday. So you can have as many cout statements in your program. You can have as many ones. So that is what the cout aspect. The cout aspect. Okay, let's continue to look at what we called the new line, the new line feature. So I'm going to actually get rid of this one here, and then also delete this part, and then say we have an instruction code, maybe okay, hello world, and then I'm going to give a space and then use the backward slash and then say n, and then I'll have another print statement, say that okay, out, I'll say I am learning programming, then make sure that I terminate this one as well. What do you think would be the output? What do you think will be the output?
Hello world, I am learning programming.
Yes, that would be the output. But then do you think that hello world and then I am learning programming, do you think all of them will be on one line?
No,
Because of what?
because the first instruction there has been ended with a semicolon, and then I think the next one, the next line, yeah, I think.
Good. At least I like your trial. So yes, you have the idea. Let's get it printed and see what happens. So I'll build and run this, and then you could see that. Let me introduce one more thing, another new line. So you could see that hello world, I am learning programming. Can you see that?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Good. So if I get rid of this backward slash n that is in the first line and then run the program, look at what happens. What can you see?
Okay.
Oh, okay. So they are joined together now.
Yes, they are all on the same line. So that space and backward slash n that I introduced here means that, okay, though I'm terminating this first instruction on this line with a semicolon, I'm ending it here. Make sure that whatever instruction that follows would move to the next line. That is basically what the backward slash n means. And so therefore, this one, instead of it to print and continue on the same line, it is going to move forward to the next line on the console. Now, sometimes you only use this on specific occasions where you really have to use it. That is when you use it. In the absence of that, the standard way to solve or combat you having different instructions printed on different lines is for you to end your instructions like so. So after your instruction that you want to display here, you make sure you bring your less than again, and then you introduce the keyword end L. So when you do this, it is trying to say that, okay, end this particular line, end it. And so therefore, whatever instruction that follows, which is this one, continue on a new line. So this is working basically like the backward slash n that we introduced here. Have I made sense?
Yes,
Please
please.
come clear.
Okay.
Please come
Now
clear.
it's clear.
Okay. So that is what it means. So when you don't use the backward slash n, it means that you have to use this end L here, making sure that you bring your less than before bringing it, to make sure that the next instruction that is following would continue on a different line but not on the same line. Okay, so that is that. Now let's move on. It is not only backward slash n we have. We can talk about the how do you call it, the backward slash t. What it means is that it creates what we call a tab. So you know on the keyboard, whenever you hit the tab key, it creates a space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you say /T, that is what it means. You can do another /T to have what? /TT means it should create double tap space. When I run this one, look at what happens. Not really seeing the effects here. Let me just introduce it somewhere here. I think here. That will make sense. And let me just say and L here. And I run the program again. Can you see where the world is and where the hello is?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that is the
Yeah.
essence of what? Essence of the tab. So when I remove one of the /T, you see that the space or the tab space is less, is closed a bit. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
kindly note
Yeah.
that. Kindly note that. All right. So that is
Okay.
about that. We have the /N, /T. I think there are a few other ones, but these are the ones I want to touch on this evening. Okay. Now, what happens is when you are writing your instructions, okay, there are times that you want to do what we call commenting. There are times you want to do what we call commenting. What is commenting? To comment about something, what does it mean? Okay, so I think I will just have to touch on that so we keep going quickly. Now, comments are used to explain your code. They are used to explain your program. Now, you see this instruction here. I mean, these are just two lines of instructions. So basically 13 lines of instructions. Is that not the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to show you something. Look at something right now. I'm going to show you a program I'm working on. And look at the number of instructions. Can you see? Can you see what I'm showing you?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm going to scroll down and look at the number of lines. This is starting from 1, so I'm going to go to the very last one and look at the number of lines so far. What can you see? Can anybody tell me the last number here?
That's
1137.
1,000. Yeah,
Yes,
1,137.
1137. And I'm not done yet. I'm not done. I'm still on course.
Coding.
Yes,
Hey.
I'm not done. So you could see that this is what a large instructions like that. So when you don't give comment, you come back, you wake up, and then you forget some of the things you are doing, and then you wouldn't know what to do. So you give comment, and then at least when you come back, the comment will give you a hint that okay, this is what we are trying to do. So you keep on what moving. So you see that when I move a bit upward, I'm going to see some few comments. So can you see a comment here?
Yes.
Calculate for on-call hours total. So it means that
Yeah.
whatever instructions I have written here, I'm actually trying to calculate for a particular thing. Go to the top, there is another one. When I scroll up, there is another comment here, fetch rate method. When I go up, get rate for employees benefit, you could see that there are quite a number of comments in my code. So when I go and sleep and wake up and I'm not really, I come back to my code and I'm not really seeing things, I can look at my comment and it will give me a hint as to what I was doing, and then I can continue from there. Does it make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so comments are very, very what? Necessary. Sometimes they don't even benefit you, the programmer. It benefits anybody who comes to pick your code and then perhaps would want to add some things. There are times that when you're writing computer programs, you'll be working hand in hand with other programmers. So when they pick the code that all of you are working on, at least they should be able to make sense. In your absence, they should be able to read the code and make meaning out of it, and then continue from there. So when you don't give comments, it becomes difficult for others who chance upon your code to make meaning and then continue from there. So comments are what? Very, very important. So let's see how to deal with comments in C++. One thing you have to notice, we have what we call the single line comment and then multi-line comment. Let's see the single line comment. So on top of this cout statement, what am I going to say? I will say I'll introduce 2 / like so, and then I'll say this line prints hello or prints the message hello world to the screen. Can you see the comment?
Yes, please.
Yes. Now you'll see that so long as I preceded with double / this thing here or this line has been grayed out. It means that when your computer is executing the instructions, it will start from the top, come to the next part, the next line, the next line, the next line, the next line. Whenever it gets here, it sees this one as what? A comment. And so therefore it is going to ignore it. It is not meant for you to what? To display or work on it. It is meant for you, the programmer, and any other programmer. So it will ignore it and then come to the next part. Okay, here contains instructions that I'm supposed to interpret and then work on it. So it sees that and then it prints this one to the console or the screen. So this is what? A comment. You proceed with what? Double / and then you continue with what? Your comment. Now, note something. When you decide that, okay, this comment on a single line is too lengthy and I want to continue on the next line, maybe when I say this line prints then I want to say, okay, I want the message to continue on the next line, like so. When I want to do this is going to give an error. Can you see already? This is not grayed out again. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Please,
So
yes.
good. So when you want to break these 2 statements, break this line into 2 lines so that it will be more shorter and more readable, you would have to precede the second one also with double / like so. Are we good?
All right.
Yes. Now, so that is basically what? A single line comment. So when we print this, run the code again, we are not going to see that to be part of our code. Yes. The message or the comment we gave is not part of the display that we are seeing. Okay. Now, you could have a very lengthy comment that you want to implement in your program or your project. When it happens like that, using the single line comments or the double / approach is not really the best. It is not really the best. And so therefore there is another one we call the multi-line comment. So the multi-line comment works in such a way that it allows you to introduce multiple comments or very lengthy comments on different lines. That makes it more clear and then easy to read. So let's see that in action. So I'm going to get rid of this one here, or let me just leave it. Then let me just caption this one, say single line comment, single line comment. And then we are going to move on to look at multi-line comment. So how does it work? The multi-line comment says that, okay, you bring your / then you bring what we call asterisk. You can bring another asterisk, then you move down or you hit the enter key or the return key. You introduce another double asterisk, then you end with what? A / like so. And then in between, anything you type, becomes a comment. So let's say have this is a multi-line comment. So it spans across multiple lines the code. It is best for block comments, or very lengthy comments. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, now look at something. Let me just delete one of the asterisks and let's see what happens. You see the difference? So when you use multiple asterisks, it is a comment, all right, but it sort of boldens it. But when you use the single asterisk as the starting point, it is still a comment, but this is a bit faint. So whichever one you want to implement or use, go ahead and then use it. Go ahead and what? Use it. Are we good?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for that one. Our time is fast spent. Let me quickly jump into the next thing, and then we will continue during. Continue in our next meeting. So quickly, let me touch on what we call variables. Let me touch on what we call variables. So I'm just going to introduce a comment here. Say introduction to what? Variables. So yes. When we say something varies, what does it mean?
It changes.
It changes, right? Good. Any other? Any other? Oh, any other suggestion? Inputs, variables. Okay, so let's box on. So we say that in C++, or basically in any programming language that has a concept of variables, we say that variables are just containers. So we say variables are what? Are containers for, let's say, storing data or values. So they are basically containers. When something is a container, it stores. It is able to hold. It is able to store. It is able to hold something for you to come and retrieve it later. So those are what? Variables. But then it is called variable because whenever we make use of variables in our program, though it can store values for us, but then it can change. The values that are held in the variables we defined, they can change, and that is why we call, or we have the concept what? Variables. So if it is not variable, it means it is what? Hello? If it is not variable, it means it's what?
It is static.
It is static, or let's say it is what? Constant.
Constant.
Is that okay? Yes. So it happens that in C++, we can have different types of what? Variables. When I say types, I'm talking about what? Data types. So I think that is not the agenda now. But then when we say types or data types, these are ways we categorize the data that we introduce in our program. So you can have an integer data type, You can have what? A float data type. You can have a Boolean data type. You can have a string data type. You can have what? Let's say a double data type. You can have a character data type. So many. So talking about integer, you can have integer to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can have a float, let's say 5.3, comma 5.0. You can have a Boolean, which is normally true or false. You can have a string. Anytime you see anything that is inside of a double quote like so, say my name here, this is regarded as what? A string, simply because it is in what? 2 double quotes. When you talk about double have similarities with what? Float. So you can say 4.5, 45.2. This is what? A double. You can have a character which is denoted with single quotes like so, and then let's say M, denoting, let's say, gender of what? The gender of a particular person. Let's say, which M means what? Male. So these are all what? Types. They are called data types. Data types. Data type. So we can have variables for all these what? Different data types that we have in C++. Have variables. So let's look at a typical variable that we can have in our project. So let's say that we are creating a project or a program that is able to tell the users of the program that, hey, we want you to actually give us your name. We want to actually receive your name so that we can better design our system, or let's say customize our system to give you nice greetings whenever you open the program. So how can we go about that? So what we can possibly do is we define a variable called what? We are going to accept what? Name, right?
Yes.
Yes, we are going to accept name. And whenever you see a name, it is made up of what? Sequence of characters. And anything that is made up of sequence of characters is regarded as what? A string in programming. Are we okay?
Yes, please.
And so therefore I can just say, okay, string. And I'll say, okay, username, or let's say full name. Full name. Then I can equate this one to, let's say, to have empty string for now. And we call it the assignment operator. We will get there. We will get there. We will get there. So what again? We have to tell the user that, okay, hello, give us our name. So see out. Let me even ask. Whenever you want to display something to the console, what keyword do you use?
We use the C out.
Yes, we use a C out. Okay, so C out. Then we bring our less than, we call it the insertion point. Then inside the insertion point, we say that we want to print a string onto the console. So we introduce double quotes like so. Then inside the double quote, we say, okay, hello, kindly provide us with your name, like so. Then we introduce what? After the double quotes, we bring our less than to tell that, okay, this is the end of what? Our insertion. Then we can go ahead and say end L. End L, meaning what? End this statement, and then make sure that whatever instruction that comes next is on a different line. Make sure you pay attention to this thing. Mind you, we have talked about syntax already. If you miss on this, you are going to get error. If you don't want to be faced with any challenge, you can get rid of this part and then have what? Something like so. But you make sure you have the beginning to be like so. When you do this, whenever you have any instruction that is also going to be printed on the screen, it will not continue on the next line. It will be printed on the same line. So if you don't want that experience, just bring your less than, and then say end L, and then make sure you terminate it like so, and then you are good to go. Now we've actually asked the user to what? give us their name. What are we supposed to do next? We need to have a variable that would help us store the inputs or the name that the user is going to give us. So we've actually defined one variable here called what? Full name. So what are we going to do? I'm just going to say cin, and this is another statement. I'm just introducing it. So if you want to accept input from the user, we use cin. When you want to display, we use cout. Take note. So this time around, instead of less than, I'll say greater than, then I'll say full name, and then I'll terminate this one. Then I'll go ahead and say, okay, now I want to have my customized message for the user. So what will I do? I can say cout again, okay, and then I'll say, okay, cout. I'll say welcome. Then I would have to add the how do you call it, the full name here, and then make sure I end this, and then say end L. Okay, I think this will give an error, so I need to end this one also here like so. So this is one insertion, and this is another insertion, and then we are ending it what here. It means we are ending the whole of this statement here. When I go ahead and then run this program, okay, you see that it is asking, hello, kindly provide us with your name, and then the cursor is blinking. Can you see that, everybody?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes.
So whose name should we use?
And
No, I don't want my name. Use a different name.
Okay, Richard
Richard what?
Amafu.
Amanfo.
Yeah.
Kindly bear with me if I'm not able to get a spelling right. So Amanfo, like so, I think.
No L at the end.
No L. Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. So when I hit enter, look at what happens. What can you see?
Welcome, Richard.
Welcome what?
Richard.
Richard. We didn't get the Amanfo. Why? Well, I'm not here to talk about that right now. So I think we are going to end here. But then let me give room for a few questions, and then we can call it a day. We'll continue some other time. Yes, the floor is open. Any question? Any question up to this point?
Question, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm listening.
I have a question, please.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I'm listening very, very attentively.
Okay. The first after the string,
Yes.
full name, the first line of instruction which says kindly provide us with your name.
Yes.
I could see after the cout there is a space before the less than.
Okay, this one.
But the rest, yes, please.
Oh, okay. It's just
But the
me.
rest,
It's just me trying to not be consistent here. Let me just delete it. In any case, it will
okay.
work.
But does it matter?
It doesn't really
Oh,
matter.
okay. So it works with or without the space, right?
Exactly.
Okay. 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 All right. Thank you.
Sure. Any other question?
Okay, so my question is on
Speak a bit
the
louder.
line 20,
On line
line
20.
20, the
Okay,
code
yes.
on the line 20, before full name, you brought less than.
Yes.
So before full name, you brought less than. If you
Okay.
don't bring the less than, what happens to the
Okay,
code?
look at something. So let me, before the full name, I'll get rid of this, and then let's run the code and see what. Are we getting error or we are not getting error?
Error.
Exactly. So the use of the less than and greater than is very, very important. Now, whenever you open two less than and then another two less than, in between means that you want to insert something. Whatever you want to insert, the thing can be in double quotes like so, or it can be a variable that you have defined. Does it make sense?
Yes, please.
So you could see that
Yeah.
this one here is treated as one statement, and this one here is also treated as one statement. You might say that, okay, then it's supposed to be 4, but this is syntax. It boils down to what? Syntax. It is saying that if you want to embed, basically we are trying to embed this variable here. Now, when I decide to put this thing into double quotes, when I do it like so, when I put it in double quote like so, what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen?
Okay. So with this, it means the output is going to be welcome full name
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
because the
Exactly.
welcome is in double quotes and then the full name is also in double quotes.
Exactly. So anything that is in quotes, it will not be interpreted as a value that is held in it. It will just print the string of characters you are seeing. FULL, those are string of characters. And that is exactly what you are going to see printed to the screen. So let's try it out. So when I say Richard again and hit enter, can you see welcome full name? Can you see that?
Yes, please.
And so therefore, when you want to have a value that is held in a variable here displayed, you don't put it in double quote. You don't put it in double quote. You call it direct and then insert it into the insertion point like so. And that the system is able to interpret that, oh, okay, this is a variable. So let me go into the variable and check if there is a value held in it, and then I'll pull out the value and then replace it and then print out the actual value. So let's do that again and say Richard. And this time around, we are seeing welcome Richard. Basically, that is how it is working under the hood. Does it make sense?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Clear.
Good. Good. I believe we spent so much time. We are going to end here. We'll continue hopefully tomorrow or any other day that will be okay for us. We'll continue. I think I've recorded a session. I'll be uploading it. Those who couldn't benefit or those who would want to revisit it can check it out on the channel. Yeah, so this is where we are going to end. Thank you for joining this evening, and I'm hoping that we've learned so much. And I'll see you some other time.
Thank you too.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.